I don't know who needs to hear this, but unless you've got a literal functioning crystal ball where you can look into the future, don't try and time the market. Don't wait until the market crashes to try and get into it. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And if you did, you should already be a trillionaire. Let me give you an example of one client we had and where it certainly didn't work for them. So this particular client came into us, they're in their 50s, they're a couple, and the wife's pretty pissed off, to be honest with you, with the husband, although she was complicit in the decision as well. But about 15 to 20 years ago, they had enough money to buy a property down here on the peninsula. They chose not to because the husband, in the end, was adamant that it was going to drop by 30%, 40% or so. He was just fixated on the fact that it wasn't they're going to wait to buy the property when the market drops. Of course, it hasn't really dropped since then, although you could argue it has dropped by about 10 to 20% in places since the COVID boom on the peninsula down here, but they still haven't bought because he's still sticking to his guns, but he's just in a much worse off position than he otherwise would have. And I want to show you why. This graph here just shows you on the y-axis there, 5 years of running time and a 10% increase in property values, say along here. But this could apply to investment values as well. But in this instance, it was property, and I just don't think anyone has a crystal ball enough to know what's going to happen. So you just should get in when you're ready. And the reason being, let's just say it runs for a year, it goes up to $1.1 million in value. If you then get a 20% drop, sure, it's going to drop to 880,000, but he's been predicting for 15 years it's going to be dropped. So he's been wrong 15 times so far, and he's never gotten in. Fast forward to the second year, and you're really just getting back up to what it was worth in the first place from that drop. So 1.21 million drops by 20%. Third year, you have to be right in the first year, really, for it to make it worthwhile on a 20% drop. If you're predicting a 30% drop, as you can see here, you've kind of got to be right within the first 3 to 4 years. And a 40% drop, you've got to be right within the first 5 years. They're dropping from 1.61 at 40% down to 966,000. So that really just sums up why you should try and time the market. You also got to take into account the fact that if it's an investment property or an investment, you could be earning dividends, you could be earning rent on that. But also, if it's a property, you're going to be paying rent anyway. So you could have just been paying off your mortgage, and sure, the value will fluctuate, but it's your house, mate. Just get into it. Don't try and predict the future. At a certain point, you got to get in with your life. He's raised his kids in a rental. They've never felt settled. That's the other detriment as well. Never try and time the market. You cannot tell the future. No one can. Even the majority of the pros who try and do it are more often than not wrong. Just do it when you're ready. That's the key message here.